Hello. How are y'all?
Kind of picking your brain about this. 636 Trey, by the way.
There we go.
And attorneyherald.com is the
Love it.
website.
Love it.
So, I know it's just gotten underway. And yesterday was the first day of, opening statements. Glean anything in particular? Anything?
Yeah. There's a whole host of stuff. Starting off with it really started with opening statements yesterday and that phrasing. If you really think about it, we had jury instructions or jury selections for about 3 days. That's rare in South Carolina. And you're watching these national media folks come in and say, oh, that's so quick. In South Carolina, I've clerked for a judge. I've been a prosecutor, so I've seen a lot of trials, right?
Right.
We pick a jury in the morning, particularly when I was clerking for the judge. We'd pick a jury in the morning by 10:30, and they'd have opening statements, and then we go to lunch. So on murder trials.
Okay.
So,
wow.
I mean, so it's one of those things that it's very interesting to watch these national pundits come in and just, run their mouth and say whatever they want to say. And it's not actually basis on the way we do things in South Carolina. So that's just the first thing I wanted to point out. The other thing that I think is really interesting, particularly after the opening statements, I think both sides did phenomenally well. I think there were mistakes. Some people made a little bit of mistakes with things they said. But I'm armchair quarterbacking. I'm not.
Of course.
I'm not in the fight in that one per se. But I think that what's very interesting to me is the AG. I think he made a big mistake when he mentioned multiple times to listen to what Alex Murdaugh said. And the reason I say that I think that he did a big issue with that is he didn't I know he was talking about 911 tapes and other videos and that, but he didn't say it as clear as I think he should have said it. And the reason why is Alex Murdaugh's not going to testify, right? And you have a constitutional right not to testify against yourself.
Sure.
And they can't use that against you.
Sure.
So now you've set up for an argument on appeal that he was trying to say you need to listen to Alex Murdaugh. He didn't testify. Now, is that an appeal that's going to carry a lot of weight? No, but that's just one of a host that's going to go through. I think that what we're seeing is a big setup for a host of appeals, and I think that's just another option they opened up. I think that in Dick Harpootlian's opening statement, he did a phenomenal job, in particular when he was talking about there's no forensic evidence, there's no fingerprints, there's no blood, there's none of that that ties Alex to the crime.
Right.
Additionally, there's no witnesses that tie him to the crime. He did a very good job painting that picture and poking the holes in it. And so it was very interesting. My bride, who I would think who was watching it even more intently than I am, stated that she actually thought the AG had a better opening statement than the defense. So it's just very interesting to see that kind of layout and why, because she kind of thought the crying that Alex Murdaugh did seemed a little forced to her. So it's
really
it's very.
They are talking about his wife and son.
Yeah.
Being, and I'll tell you, the description that the prosecution put out of how it happened or the carnage.
Yeah.
I was surprised at that.
Would you consider that crime to be, particularly if what the AG is saying, would you consider that to be especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel?
What, the way they were killed?
Execution style with a shotgun?
I would say.
Yeah. Your own son and your daughter? Yeah.
I
mean, your wife?
Couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
And I don't have a wife.
And sorry. Yeah, you're right.
I just want to clear the air.
I want to clarify that. Additionally, would you say that was a murder of 2 or more people? Because they murdered Maggie and they murdered Paul?
Right.
Both of those are aggravating factors that someone should seek the death penalty on. I think it is. Unless we're going to hear something else, if you're going to give that much of an opening statement and say that much stuff, and you're not going to seek the death penalty on a crime like that,
I remember you mentioning.
I've got a real
before.
issue with that. I've got a real issue with that. Your job is to seek justice, right? And under our law, a especially heinous, especially atrocious, or especially cruel may seek the death penalty, and a murder of 2 people or more shall. Not may, not shall. Have a good day, shall. So I think there's got to be some real reason. There's got to be something. Maybe they're scared of Dick Harpootlian. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be some reason that the AG's office didn't decide to seek the death penalty, and I really hope we find out about that. If not, I think it's kind of pathetic. The other thing I want to say that really blows my mind, the AG's office has unlimited resources to prosecute cases, right? Unlimited. They're going to say they don't have a budget, but they need more money to prosecute a case. If they need more money to prosecute a case, I think we should give it to them, by the way, right? Because you don't have a clerk in there to check the audio and video. They had to postpone the trial. They had to end a little early, and they couldn't put a witness on because the audio and video was malfunctioning, because it wasn't work. You don't have a clerk in there to check that and to have that situated. Of all the people that you have that work for you, that we're paying taxpayer money to, you don't have somebody to check that?
People back there.
In the biggest murder trial in the state of South Carolina, maybe in the history of the state of South Carolina, you don't have an extra clerk to check that audio video? I mean, and I'm not talking about the clerk of court. I'm talking about the AG. You don't have a law student that's just begging to be around so he can get attention, checking that. And if you do, you better punish whoever did that, because you have made the AG's office not look very well, and not look very well. They look like they're not put together, which is going to look bad in front of a jury, which is a problem. So you put that, and why you're not seeking the death penalty, that does not paint a good picture of the prosecution pushing this case forward. So I think that's a problem.
I know that you have to have evidence, you have to have the facts in the case, you have to represent your client. My question is, in law school, you get lessons on how to persuade. Are there acting? I don't want to.
Are there acting classes?
Say
no, that's no. I mean, it is.
But
a judge,
haven't we seen, things on TV or whatever, and some lawyers just have this reputation. I know I saw some in Texas when I lived there, that are able to somehow make cases that you think, oh, that guy's got to be guilty. Gets him off. And these lawyers have a way about them, or a charm, or it's the way they look at the jurors.
Well, I used to clerk for a judge in Charleston County, phenomenal judge, by the way. And he would impart various pieces of wisdom on me when I would sit next to him. And he would compare certain lawyers and how they would do things. And he would say that when you're putting on a trial, you're essentially putting on a production, on a play, if you really think about it. And your audience is those 12 people, right? And so, yeah, it is the essence of putting on a play or putting on a production, because you have to tell a story. You have to weave a story, and on the defense side, you have to respond to a story that's being told. So yes, you have to be on the fly, and you have to be able to talk. In law school, there were no acting classes.
I know it.
But it's not a bad question, because there are classes that are public speaking type classes where you would take monologues from movies and talk about them, and they were electives. They were fun classes. I took one of those, and it was a pass fail. So, it wasn't a deep dive in class.
Yeah, I get it.
But that's what it was. And so there's all kinds of additional things you can do, because that's a big part of it. Whether it's being in trial, whether it's having to come sit here and talk on the radio and promote, the Trey Harrell law offices at attorneyharrell.com or 636-TREY, 843-636-TREY. Whether it's doing that, you got to be able to talk in front of people and make people understand where you are.
You gotta be persuasive.
Yeah.
And that's more than just, I'm looking at you and I'm spitting out these facts. There's an art to being persuasive.
There's a lot of problem that comes with a lot of young lawyers who try to over argue, or old lawyers who try to over argue. The point is, get your facts in, get what you need, and then move on. The judge, I was telling you, when he told me about putting on a production, and that's what you did, would essentially say you lay out the facts you need to get the jury to know. And then as soon as you get those facts made, you check it off on your list, and then you move on. And you can wrap it all up and tie it all up at the end. And so I think it'll be very interesting to see today if the AG over-argues stuff with the Murdaugh case, trying to overdo it. And you also got to remember, this is going to be a 2-3 week trial, right? Yeah. So you don't over-argue on Thursday and Friday, because people are going to remember. I mean, they're going to remember, but it's not going to be as fresh. So it's just going to be very, very interesting to see how this is played and how this is handled. Now, I've never been a part of a multi-week trial, or never tried a multi-week trial. And so it's just, it's crazy. But talking about persuading, I need to persuade people to call my office. So if you've been injured in an accident, give me a call at 636-TREY or attorneyharrell.com.